Hey guys, it's Megan Ritz with Classic Cakes here for another Tutorial Tuesday. Ashley is in the background working on some cakes tonight with her beautiful flowers. Tonight we are going to do some stencils. So I pulled some stencils that I thought would be fun to play with. I just wanted to share with you guys some of the reasons why I love to work with stencils. So we're going to talk about the why, the what, and the how with stencils tonight. So why stencils? Stencils are going to allow us to do some patterns that are going to be more complicated or sometimes even impossible to do with hand piping. They're also going to allow us to do a very flat design, whereas if you hand pipe, it's going to give you more dimension, more rounded dimension. So if you want something very flat, very clean on the cake, if you want something very intricate or detailed, then a stencil is a great way to do that as well. So just some options here. I've got a nice variety of stencils here that we're going to play with today. Hey guys, thanks for joining me tonight. When you jump on, be sure to share so that your friends can see what you're watching tonight as well. We're trying to reach as many people as we can today. Replays can be seen on our YouTube channel. We also purchase a lot of stencils through various different companies. You can see that these are all kind of different shapes and sizes. This is one of my absolute favorites. I love that it's floral, but it's not flowery. I absolutely love this one. This one's really nice for the bigger cakes to get long along the sides of the cake. And then we also have a local artist who has been making some custom stencils for us, which is really cool when we need something custom made. If we have a couple who has a wedding logo, we can get those custom made for us. Or if we just have a pattern in mind that we would like that we can't find. So that has been really helpful as well to allow us to do a little bit more. Let me move this guy. So that has been very useful. So stencils, that is the why. What? Stencils are just like what you think of with stencils. We were just doing it with cake, with buttercream. You can do it with airbrush, you can do it with paint. We can do it with lots of different things. So I'm going to show you guys with buttercream today. Hey Jennifer, hey Micaiah, hey Zach, hey Stephanie, hey Nancy. Thank you guys for joining. So I love to be able to play with stencils because we can get that really cool clean design. You can do it with a lot of different techniques. Royal icing. Hey Caitlin. We can do it with buttercream. We can do it on fondant. We can do it on buttercream. So I'm going to show you a buttercream on buttercream today. That is the most common way that we use it. There are some very specific ways that you need to, or there's a very specific order of things, technique-wise, to do it. So I'm going to show you that so that it can come out nice and clean. I'm going to show you first on this board so that we can learn the technique for using the stencil, and then I'm going to show you on a cake so you can see the difference and how to actually make it work properly on the cake, because there's a little bit of technique that we need to know and to learn on how to actually make it work on the cake. So let's play with the cake stencils on the board. So there's two different things that we need to learn with stencils: how to use the stencil and how to put the stencil on the cake. First, we're going to play with the stencils, and I'm going to use this guy first. So some stencils are going to be easier to use than others. I did grab some of the easier to use ones. If they have a lot of connection points, like this guy, they're going to be a little bit easier to use. If they have a lot of open spaces, they're going to be a little bit harder to use. If they have a lot of loose things, like loose pieces that move around, they're going to be even more difficult to use. So if you are starting out for the first time making a stencil, doing a stencil, I recommend looking for something that has really small pieces that has a lot of connection points, so it doesn't move a lot. That's going to give you a really good first run with your stencil. So let's practice with that one first. And we are going to do it right here on the board so you guys can see I have some fun colors to start with, so they're nice and bright so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. I have this really cool red-orange color here. And all we're going to do is we're going to pretend like this board is my cake. We're going to take our icing here. And I actually find it a lot more difficult to do stencils on boards like this than to do them on the cake, because I feel like the stencil kind of sticks itself to the cake, whereas it doesn't on here. But for today, I want to show you guys how to use those stencils first in 2 different steps. So I like to use a pointy spatula to put the icing on the stencil, and then we will use a card. I have just like this is an ARP for Donna Hoffman. Hey Donna. We use like expired credit cards, gift cards. I have some driver's license back here that people have donated to us. We just stick them in the sanitizer, and then we can use these guys for some cake decorating. They're amazing tools. So all we're going to do is hold this really still, and then we're going to smear our icing across the stencil. And you just want to do a nice thin coat across the entire stencil. And you want to make sure that your stencil doesn't move. So my left hand is holding that stencil still, and my right hand is moving that buttercream across it. And I want to fill in all those gaps. And then I can use my card to clean that off. And then we can just pull it straight off. So really simple. And we get that nice clean pattern on our cake. So very simple, very straightforward. Eileen, yes, Donna is your sister. I thought that's who that was. That's awesome. All right. Dawn says, I used a card for the first time this past weekend and it worked wonders. Yes, it is an amazing tip. I totally love using those cards. All right, guys, so we have our first stencil here. Very simple, beautiful, easy technique. So let's do one more, and then I will show you guys on a cake. Super simple. Let's do my favorite one. This is my favorite stencil. I love her. She's beautiful. I love her in every color. Let's do purple. I'm feeling purple today. What colors do you guys like? What are your favorite colors? I love asking people what their favorite colors are. Just clean out the extra. Alright, so same thing. Again, we want to make sure that we hold this really still. Now, I never noticed that there's like a bumpy side and there's a smooth side. Does it matter? I don't know if it matters. We'll find out. So I've got this really cool purple here. What are your guys' favorite colors? Let's see, pink, green. All right, so I'm gonna use my pointy again. Let me find it and clean it off. I don't know that this purple really goes with the orange I just used, but that's okay. And let me clean off my card as well. I'm gonna need you. So, this is a great way to practice when you, lavender, love it, great color. This is a great way to practice before you get to your cake when you're practicing with your stencil. When you're working on your cake, you do want to work kind of quickly, because what you're going to actually do with your cake, which my cakes are in the freezer, so this is one of the very few reasons that we actually use a freezer here. We have the cake iced, and then we pop it in the freezer just until it gets nice and hard. Just the outside icing gets hard, and then we can put the stencil directly on it, and then it won't stick to the icing on the outside of the cake. We can pop the stencil on it, smear the icing on, pull the stencil off. The outside icing isn't affected, but then you have that beautiful, nice, crisp, clean stencil design on the outside of the cake. So let's go ahead and do this guy. And let's see how this works on a board. I've never done this one on a table before. Some stencils are difficult to do on the table, so we'll see. Need to get some more icing. I have always loved doing stencils. The first few times I did stencils on cake, they did not come out good. My cake wasn't cold enough. I didn't work fast enough, so the stencil started to like stick to the cake, and it started getting like sticky and tacky, and then when I pulled it off, it had messed up the icing on the cake, so I had to redo it. There really is like a very limited window where you have to get that cake, the stencil on the cake while it's really nice and cold, put that stencil on, pull it off, and keep moving. And you have to do this stencil around the cake several times in order to cover the entire cake. It's not difficult technique-wise, but you do have a little bit of a learning curve. But like most things, it's not really difficult. It's just learning the tools and practice. That's what I love about teaching and playing with cake. You guys can totally rock this. You can make beautiful cakes with stencils. Just with some practice. Alright. Let's see how this one turned out. I love her. Alright, what do you guys think? I love her. She's so beautiful. We've done her in so many different colors. So the cool thing about stencils, you can do the cake iced in white, like we have here, or we can ice it in a color and do the stencil in white, or we can do the stencil in a color and the cake in a color. We can do patches where we don't do the whole stencil. You know what? I will save that for the cake. Let's bust a cake out, and I'll show you guys some techniques on the cakes. We don't need this board anymore. Let's bust some cakes out. I'll be right back. Alright, so I have a just very quickly, simply iced cake here. And we are going to, it is a yellow cake. Delicious, beautiful yellow cake. We're going to put a stencil on it. So we can, let's go ahead and do this one. I have burgundy. Let's do burgundy. Let me clean off my spatula. So we're going to need to work quickly because that cake just popped out of the freezer. So I've got a nice tight little window. We want to make sure it stays nice and cold. It is cold to the touch. Not tacky, not sticky at all. Nice and cold. So there's a few different things that you can do. You can pin it if you are more comfortable with that. I am just not used to doing that myself. But we want to wrap this around the cake. I am used to just holding it. If you're more comfortable pinning it, awesome. Whatever you are comfortable with. This is a really long stencil. I haven't done this one in a long time. So, what I am used to doing is just holding it, plopping some icing down, and the icing actually holds the stencil where I want it. Just a nice glob of icing. Let me get more icing. want to make sure that it's nice and tight against the cake. Alright, so once it is nice and tight around the cake, then you can smear your icing all over the entire stencil. And like I said, you want to work kind of quickly because you want to make sure that that cake doesn't start to get soft. So I'm just going up and down. The entire length of the stencil. And I can start pulling off any excess. I might have done this pretty sloppy. Alright, now I can use my card to smooth off any excess. I might actually have to redo this, we'll see. I don't think I iced my cake evenly enough. So if you don't ice your cake evenly enough, the stencil, especially when they're this long, they don't wrap very evenly. Look at that. And so when you, like it buckles. Let's see how lucky I am. Actually, it looks really nice. I've got a little glob here. Let's see. It turned out beautiful. All right. Let me get this camera a little bit lower so you guys can see it better. So now we just have this back part that we have to patch up, and then we can clean up the board and that excess stuff. So if I have any like little guys sticking out, I don't. I have a little bit of messy spot there. It's not perfect. I can always come back with my pointy spatula, clean it off, and I can kind of clean up any little messy spots. If I really want to. Ideally that comes out perfect every time, right? But that's just not how it works. I mean, sometimes it does. Sometimes I'll do a stencil and it's like, oh, perfection, beautiful. But not always. So, yeah, I don't think I didn't ice this cake beautifully enough. But that is okay. So I'm going to take this burgundy here. We're going to do this little patch part. So I worked quickly enough where it's still nice and cold so I can do this back part. What I need to do is I need to make sure my stencil is still nice and clean. So I'm just going to clean up this stencil real quickly here. Actually going to run my fingers across the back of it, the part that touches the white part of my cake, and make sure it's nice and clean. I want to make sure there's no colored icing on the part that's going to touch the white part of my cake. It's okay if there's red on the other part. And then I'm going to line it up however I would like it. And we'll do the same thing again. and just connect these pieces of the stencil together. Carefully. I love doing stencils. It feels very satisfying. Alright guys, so it just looks like a globby mess right now. And then we're just going to pull off all that extra. All that excess stuff. And then on this side, I'm going to go towards the middle, so from each edge. Towards the middle of that cake. And then we can just pull it right off. Alright, what do you guys think? That is one down. A little messy towards the bottom. I didn't ice the cake as evenly as I should have. So if you ice the cake nice and perfectly straight, you're gonna get a lot neater of a stencil. If your stencil is shorter, it's not gonna be as important. The longer your stencil is, the more that's gonna matter. So with this really long stencil, that's where it really comes to be important. So I'm going to clean this guy off. And then when you're washing your stencils, be very gentle and kind to them. Really hot soapy water. You don't really need to scrub them. Just really hot soapy water. And then we can touch this guy up a little bit. This area up. What do you think? Throw me some hearts if we like this guy with the burgundy. We could throw some flowers on top, some greenery, some succulents. Would be pretty. What do we think? What colors would we want to do on top of this guy? And then top a little bit neater. So for stencils, again, just you gotta work really quickly while the cake is nice and cold. Let's do one more. We've got another cake in the freezer here for us. I'm gonna hit this guy with some pearl, I think. If we have it in here. And that's it. Just enough, thank you. I love it. All right, so just a little pearl to her. Shine her up a little bit. Beautiful. Hey Susie, thanks for joining. Hey Eileen. Alright guys, let's bust out another one. Let's see what we got here. Alright, let me grab another cake real quick. So I want to show you a different technique that has become very trendy. I love to do this with stencils. It is something, let's do it with this one because she's my favorite. Even though she's dirty. So we'll have to do her in purple. Let me try something. Let me try something on the table and see if it works. So one thing that has become very popular to do is like doing a little patch of like a section. Oh yes, let's do that. A little section of a stencil and not doing the whole stencil. So since I didn't ice these very neatly, I just rushed them. Let me tidy this up a little bit. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do, let me see if I can do this on this side for you. I'm going to come over to the other side of the table. Let me join you over here. I can't reach the cake. Okay. I have purple on my stencil, and I'm just going to do the white over it. So I'll have a little bit of purple and mostly white, and I'm just going to do a little chunk of this stencil, but not the whole thing. And this, like, clean. Pull it right off. This messy, intentionally broken stencil piecing has become so trendy, and I love it. It looks like, oh gosh, what's it called? When you have like patchwork, like cement stamps. I can't think of anything. Ashley, do you know what I'm talking about?
What is it?
When you do like cement stamps, you have like pieces, stucco? Stucco? Is it stucco? I don't know why I can't think of anything. My daughter loves watching you make these. Oh, thank you, Lauren. This is one of my favorite techniques to do because it's so rewarding and they can be a little broken. So we have this little partial one down here, so I can shove her in the corner down here. I've got some of my mixed purple and white. Do another one. So we can do a bigger section. I want to do a bigger section. Got this partial one here and this big one here. As I drop the buttercream onto my hand. guys, what do we think about this? How do we like this technique? Lauren says, I'm going to be in trouble. She's going to expect me to learn this for her birthday. Yes, Lauren, you can totally do this. This is super easy because if you have like broken pieces of the stencil, it's supposed to look like that. So this is perfect. Find a stencil that you love and then do something like this and play and practice. Pick a color that looks really good faded. Think stucco, and play with it. So like soft colors are great. So if you did it like navy and white, it's a little less forgiving. But if you do it in like soft colors like this, it's pretty forgiving. So just practice and play. And it's cake. So all you're gonna do is eat it anyway. Let me finish this cake. Got a little bit more in the back I gotta do. Want to do one that's like up here a little bit. I love this design because it just feels good to do it too. It feels good to be like, I just want to put a little guy there and a little guy there. There's no rules. I like that. Alright guys, so we did this one, like stucco-y type, which I think is the right word, but I actually am not sure if that's what I'm meaning to say. But we're gonna go with it today. I definitely love her. Some like ivory flowers on top or some pink flowers on top. She'd be beautiful. You can mix and match. So we could do some, do I want to do that? We could do some, a different design stencil with this as well. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. If I do some, I don't think that stencil really goes. Let's find out. If I do a little bit, I've got a little bit of the honeycomb on here. I kind of like it. I think that works. Just all white. Let's rock it. Let's do it. Guys, I love it. I think it's so cool. The thing that's cool about this is it's totally just whatever you want it to be. I don't know. Then you just tell your family that's exactly what you meant to do. Nobody can tell you you're wrong. That works because it kind of fills in those little empty spots. I'm just pushing this through the little empty spots. That's it. What do you think? Kind of makes it floral and beehive a little bit. I like it. I think it's fun. Adds just a little bit more texture to it. Cool. So you can play. I love doing this design also with the Damask Stencil, which is like one of our traditional, most popular, probably most popular of all time stencils that we've done here at least. This is a marble cake with cream cheese filling. So, yeah, super fun, beautiful. Play, have fun. Lauren, your daughter loves it. Oh my gosh, you guys could do this together. How old's your daughter, Lauren? So I'd love to know what you think, guys. Throw me some hearts if you like this one. We did this one as well. Very different. Right, we have a very different style here. Both stencils, both got us some very cool 7. Oh my gosh, Lauren, yes, you guys can be cake decorating together. That's amazing. Very cool. It was so fun decorating with you guys tonight. Throw me your questions, throw me your comments, tell me what you love. Make sure to share our video. Please check out our YouTube channel. I am still waiting for that challenge so that I can decorate a cake blindfolded. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, I will be taking that challenge and be blindfolded, and I will ice and decorate a cake. So go check out our YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe and share. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I know it will be hilarious. Our YouTube channel is, you can go to youtube.com/ClassicCakesCarmel. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have not already signed up for our Cupcake Club, you can join from anywhere in the world, or anywhere in the US. Not in the world, please. Anywhere in the US. We do ship now, and we just have to have you signed up by the 1st, and you will get in on our March subscription as well. So check out our Cupcake Club on our website at ClassicCakesCarmel.com. Thank you guys so much. I love you. This is Megan Ritz with Classic Cakes for another Tutorial Tuesday. I'll see you next week. Bye.